You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
And now your host of California MUFON Radio, Lorien Fenton. And now your host of California MUFON Radio, Lorien Fenton.
Welcome everyone to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. So happy to have you all here with me tonight. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties, and of course it's all my fault. We can't figure out why my headset is doing its crackling kind of funny little thing here, so bear with me folks. If it gets really bad and I keep dropping out, what we will do is I will go to a telephone on a break, and you'll be able to hear me pretty good by then. So anyhow, I just want to report about the party. We had lots of fun, and has really topped itself. This year we had an author speak for us. He'll be on my radio show here pretty soon. His name is Rick Fryer, and he was absolutely fabulous. Let's see, from Joe. Oh, Joe's back tonight, folks. Just thought you might want to know that. Just for tonight. Not that I don't love MJ Two Pieces as my producer, but Joe's sitting in for him tonight. So apparently my headset's getting really bad. Joe, do you want to continue, or would you like me to hang up and call in? Thank you. Okay, folks. So anyhow, back to the MUFON party. We had an amazing guy named Rick Fryer. He wrote the Keepers series. He's a science fiction writer. He likes to base a lot of his science fiction writing on science fact. So, very interesting guy. He really blew away my whole group of MUFON people who were like, why are you having a science fiction writer in talking to us? By the time he was done, they were just, their mouths were dropped open and they all wanted his book. It was just absolutely amazing. Rick was wonderful. And my good friend Javi was there, and he brought, a tent, like this tent thing. It was great. It was like one of those farmers markets tents. It had, it's beautiful. He brought chairs, he brought his widescreen TV, and he brought a camera and night vision goggles and did a sky watch in this tent. We were all like sitting there watching TV. I didn't get to do it at the time, but that's what everybody told me. They reported that it was like being in your living room watching this, doing a sky watch. So that was lots of fun. We had a really good time with that. And let's see, there was enough food. it to feed an army, and we just had to give it away to make everybody take some home. And the green alien gift exchange, I got to tell you, is my best part of the whole party. It's where we allow people to pick numbers and do just like the old white elephant thing, but we give away DVDs of UFO conferences and little green alien stuffed toys and Christmas ornaments with aliens. It's just a really fun time had by all. So, if you guys are in Northern California next year, you've got to come to the MUFON holiday party, because we really do have a good time. We started at 4, I think we ended up at 11 or 11:30, and then of course about 12 or 13 of us diehards went out to Denny's until 2 or 3 in the morning, and then after that I heard rumors that even some of the more diehards were at the casino down the street gambling till 5 or 6 in the morning. And then I heard they drove out to a hot spot for UFO activity and were doing like at 6 o'clock in the morning. So who knows? I mean, it's just crazy what people do when they have such a good time. They're like up for days on end. And MUFON was the instigator of all this. The Northern California annual, third annual, so next year will be our 4th. You guys can't miss it if you're in the area. It's a lot of fun. It's well worth driving from Southern California and spending the night in a hotel for it. I mean, that's how much fun we have. So anyhow, just thought I'd tell you guys all about that. And let's see. Oh, in a couple of weeks, it's going to be Christmas Eve here at the Inception Radio Network, as with the rest of the world. But on my show, it will definitely be Christmas Eve. And also New Year's Eve falls on a Wednesday again this year. Now, isn't this funny? I thought that was the same thing last year. So I don't know. Something didn't change with the days. So, anyhow, I've decided to do a holiday special again for Christmas Eve, and you guys will get a recording, but will be all new stuff and all new people, and it'll be a Christmas special for you. So I'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks. I'll be recording it, and I may or may not have a recorded holiday special for New Year's Eve as well. So I'll let you guys know about that. I might actually be here live New Year's Eve. We'll see. Okay, so that'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to that as well. So, yeah, there you are. Okay, well, now it's time for me to bring on my good friend, Mr. Plutronus, and he was scheduled to be with us several weeks ago, but I'm going to have him tell you what happened, and I know that all of you out there were thinking of him and praying for him, and it was wonderful that you did that. We announced, I think, on the show that he ended up in the hospital that evening, and you guys were all wonderful. I want to thank you for that, because he is one of my favorite go-to people for UFOology, as they say. He'll be speaking at UFOCon 2015 at the end of March here in Santa Clara, California, on the 28th and 29th, and I just love him to pieces. And what would I do without being able to call Tron at least once a week and talk about aliens until 4 o'clock in the morning, huh? So everybody should have a Tron in their life. So there you are. Hey, Plutronus, are you with us?
Hello, everybody.
Hi there, dear. How are you? How are you feeling? First of all, tell everybody what happened to you and why you couldn't be on the show a few weeks ago.
Well, I made my favorite bad food that I shouldn't be eating on the Atkins diet. I made a Costco Polish dog and smothered it in cheddar cheese, which is completely legal on the Atkins diet. And I ate it and went down with a thump and stayed there. And I got a little bit of indigestion. And the next day it had turned into a stomach ache. And then the following day it got worse. And finally I called in on Wednesday 911. And the ambulance came and got me. And it turned out I had a perforated appendix. And it had popped the first day, so it had been pumping this, the pancreas generates this enzyme which eats the food that's in your stomach. But if it gets in, the only place it works, it's supposed to be is in your intestines. And it's the only place that it doesn't eat itself up. And it got into the interior of my body cavity, and everything it touched, it got an infection. So when the surgeon came over, he actually was at home, and he came in special. At 11 o'clock, he took out 3 inches of my bowel and my appendix. And then I spent the next 14 days, and it was miserable. You don't want, listen, if you have a stomach ache, man, don't mess around. Go see a doctor's about it, because you do not, especially if it's on the right side, which is where your appendix is. But I'm all better now. I have a 5-inch long scar right at my belly, right at my belly line, and it's sore, and I have a little bit of a pleurisy catch, because what happened is when they took out the 3 inches, and then they sewed it back together, it's short in there, and every time I try to catch a deep breath or something, it pulls on it, and it feels just like pleurisy. But beyond that, I'm doing great. My endurance is starting to come back. I'm not driving yet, but I do appreciate the prayers from those who prayed for me, because surprisingly, I can see it psychically. I see it as a little yellow sphere floating in the air, and there's always a real white, shiny. That's the God energy. Everybody has God energy in them. Right. Otherwise, you wouldn't be animated. And the love is Tiferet, which is right in the central pillar of the tree of life. Everybody has a tree of life. It's a reflection of God's, and it's yellow. And I can always see that little flash of yellow when people pray for me. So thank you very much.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Oh, yes. Well, it because we don't like it when people get sick here at California MUFON Radio. We want them to be better and happy. There you are. Well, okay. I didn't, okay, but then you got sick, and it kind of pushed for me. But what I wanted to talk. You're breaking up bad. Oh, am I? Okay.
Yes.
Well, maybe I just need to talk. They want me to call in. So, Tron, why don't you start telling people a little bit about your background? Then I will hang up and call in while you're doing that.
All right.
Okay, great.
I'm an engineer. I'm a career military design engineer. The last couple of careers, that's where, careers where you start to work for a company and you think you're going to be there a long time. Typically, most companies I work for, I end up working for them between 5 and 10 years. And then either the company goes out of business, or I get bored with them, or whatever. The last company I worked for was ITT, Aerospace Communications Division, not the school. Had nothing to do with the school. And I was a GPS engineer. I was responsible for a $14 million radio. Now, they call it a radio, but it's actually a digital signal processor, and it's a rack mount radio. They call it radio because it hooks up to an antenna, and it goes to an amplifier and goes right into a special, a down converter from the microwave frequencies down into baseband, and then they turn it out into a digital signal, and then it goes into all the computers. And this thing was a rack mount, 3 foot long, 3 foot wide radio mounted in a special rack with a whole bunch of things like atomic clocks attached to it. Anyway, it's a special GPS receiver, and it was used to control the spacecraft in orbit around Earth for a new GPS system that they have not yet turned on. It was called the L2C Civil Tracker System, which was designed by a good friend of mine who unfortunately passed away from cancer a couple of years ago, Bill Hanna. He designed a 1 million gate field programmable gate array, which became the digital correlator for the special radio. What these radios do, there's 30 of them, and they're located around the world in underground in bunkers, military bunkers. They listen to the timing of the space vehicles in orbit, and they take measurements, precision measurements, and this information is encrypted, encoded, and sent back to the U.S. Space Command, where the scientists make little changes to it, and then they broadcast the changes back up to the satellites in orbit or space vehicles in GPS parlance. And this is called the radio I was responsible for is called the control segment radio, and the space vehicles are called the space segment. And what the people use driving around in their little cars and they're hiking, in the police and taxi cab, that's called the user segment. The user segment receives those signals and on their GPS receivers. Now, this new GPS system is a civilian-only system. What everybody's using today is the Navstar system, and it's a military system. And when they need their precision for guiding things like cruise missiles, they turn off the user segment through something called SASM, which stands for Selective Availability Anti-Spoofing. And the selective availability gives them the ability, the military, the ability to turn off whole sections of the planet from having GPS signals. And the last time they did this, it harmed the economy of Earth. So President Clinton mandated the creation of a civilian-only GPS system. And I was one of the engineers. I was myself and 6 other guys. We received this radio. It was basically a designed system, but it didn't work. And myself and 6 other guys, mostly young Chinese engineers, we had a great time together, by the way. It was constant partying, man.
I'm here, Tron, just so you know, I'm listening to all this fascinating because I don't think I remember this part of your story.
Well, I generally don't tell it because it's, that and 25 cents won't get buy me a cup of coffee,
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, that's great. I love that. Now,
you sounded much better, by the way.
Yeah, you've done a whole bunch of stuff in the working for different departments. Did you work for the Department of Defense at one point?
I almost constantly. The L2C civil tracker system that's a DoD system.
Oh,
it was designed for public usage, but it's completely under the control of the DoD and the U.S. Space Command, and it has to be because. Think about the problem. You make a system with these 30, 40 space vehicles in orbit, transmitting precision signals down so a hiker knows where he is within 3 feet. But at the same time, you don't want the enemies like Russia or the Al-Qaeda to build a drone that can use our same exact signal to drive a bomb to your house. How do you prevent them from driving a bomb to your house using your own signals? That's why it's designed and built by the military scientists. And listen, this is very complicated stuff, and it is the most next to maybe a space shuttle system or maybe the cell phone system. It's one of the most complicated systems on the planet in terms of its precision, the number of parts involved, and what it takes to make it work and still be reliable. And GPS is wonderful, man. I would be stuck in my house if it weren't for GPS. I go in, I tap in a couple of numbers, and it takes me right there unerringly. It may not be the shortest route, but it gets me there every time.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, how cool is GPS, people?
I know. I love GPS. As a matter of fact, speaking of GPS, you're going to love this, Tron. Last week I had Dr. Paul Moyler on. He's the guy building the flying car up here in Davis, California.
Oh, cool.
I believe it was last week. I can't even remember, to tell you the truth, but every day for me feels like years at this point because I started a new job, so things are just So anyhow, but I'm pretty sure it was last week, and he says his flying car is going to be absolutely foolproof because it's going to be flying by GPS, and no humans are going to be flying it. So,
cool.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And that means he's going to be using the L2C system because that's one of the features of the new system is it has altitude control. Whereas the Navstar system, there was a specifically built-in dither designed to prevent altitude control, automatic altitude control. And so people had to augment that using barometers, for barometric altimeters on their...
But basically, weren't they using a form of it already for airports and, flights, landing flights and stuff? Because that's basically what he said.
It's called differential.
Okay.
In fact, the company that I originally worked for, which was AOA, Alan Osborne Associates, they use a Jet Propulsion Laboratory GPS design. And they were the leaders in GPS at one time. They're the guys who pretty much did the major development with something called RTTK, or differential. And basically what differential does is it uses several GPS receivers located some distance apart, like maybe 300-400 feet, and then they telemeter their data, their measurement data, to a third point, which has a computer in it, and it takes differential measurements to get a very precision. And this is how surveyors get their very precision measurements using GPS today. There's something called an ALS, or automatic landing system, which was developed by AOA and then for the Department of Defense, and then later for the U.S. Navy's. And what they did is they used this on aircraft, and so that they would flip on the ALS when a pilot was injured or something, and the ALS would automatically land the airplane right on the deck of an aircraft carrier.
Wow,
that's pretty accurate. That's what
he said. He says within inches.
Within
that's
inches.
Accurate. Yeah.
That's RTTK that was developed by AOA, which later was purchased by ITT, Aerospace Communications Division, which was the company I was hired by. And we had AOA stuff all over the place. I met the sons of AOA and everything. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen a choke ring antenna. It's a round circuit. It looks like an onion made of aluminum, and they're about 3 feet in diameter at the widest. That was also invented by AOA. So if you ever happen to see a choke ring antenna, you can it's just a little bit of trivia,
I know what you're talking about. I have seen one of those. Did they ever use that in the military?
Constantly.
Okay,
they didn't patent
that's
it.
Where I saw it. Yeah.
They didn't patent the technology to promote and allow the technology to blossom. That's a sign of a true entrepreneurial company. Companies like Xerox, who gave away basically Windows. Every Microsoft takes the credit for it, but all they did was steal it. That's all Microsoft does is steal. Bunch of thieves.
We know that. And then they mess up Skype to the point where we can't function in it anymore.
Oh, man. I hate that. Facebook all over. It's all over Skype. A lot of people don't like Skype or Facebook because it's just an outright violation of our civil liberties.
Well, now, Facebook's a different company than Microsoft, though.
Yeah, so why is Microsoft put Facebook all over? Why is Facebook all over Skype today? Well, it's because they've made a deal with Facebook. Bet. Sure.
Yeah.
They want to connect the dots between the users' profiles on Facebook to who they're calling in the world. It's more data points. People don't realize that today, your house insurance and your car insurance is dictated by where you live.
Oh, you bet.
Okay,
well,
there's going to come a time when it's going to be dictated by your past behaviors that you posted on Facebook.
Well, that scares me. Absolutely.
Well, it should be. It should scare you. It's scary stuff. It's a flat-out violation of our civil liberties. But it's free, baby.
That's why I love you, man. I'm telling you. It's free, baby. I know. And then when you turn around, they've got you by the you-know-what, and, you can't do nothing. It's amazing.
One of the tricks that they use, and you'll notice that every place you go, they ask this question. Doctors' offices ask it. Pharmacists ask it. Everybody asks it. What is your date? What is the date of your birth? Well, when you log in, you create an account, a user account on some chat room on the internet. Lie about your age. Specifically change your date of birth.
Absolutely.
Do it randomly.
I always do.
Because that's the verification. They have 2 or 3 different data points about you. They may not have your name, but they have a cookies because you've been over at Osh buying some plants, flower pots over here, and you've been over and you bought some blue jeans online over here at Amazon. They got your cookies. Those cookies are shared by the channel partners, and then using your date of birth, they know exactly who you are, man, right down to your phone number and your address. Don't tell those greedy corporations anything unless you absolutely have to. And who do you absolutely have to? The bank, of course. And when you talk to those bank officers, tell them you don't want them sharing your channel partner data. It's none of their goddamn business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
I agree with you. And
that's protected under the Constitution.
Yeah, that's true. For years now, I've been giving a false date of birth on anything online that I can get away with it. If they just ask me for my date of birth, I have a date of birth that I made up for myself that is my second date of birth.
Don't use the same one twice.
Oh, don't use the same one twice.
No,
oh, okay.
No, it's the invariant data that they track you with.
Oh, well, but
every place you go, make up a different date. I went on this one website. And I put down 1906 as my birth date.
Right. Oh,
and they said, well, that makes you about 140 years old. And I said, yeah, so? 140-year-old guys ain't supposed to be talking on the internet? And another place, I was like 9 years old.
9 years old. Oh, I love that.
Okay, and then I had to go back and change it to 19 because they had an age limitation on, 9-year-olds aren't supposed to be talking on adult websites. I mean, it wasn't an adult like a porno or anything. It was actually a MUFON. I think it was MUFON, the MUFON website before it went dark.
I'll say that. Put it on to MUFON now instead of the X-rated websites, huh?
Yeah. So when I say change your birth date, I don't mean just change your date of birth. The year of your birth. Change everything.
Oh, I did. I've got another whole date of birth that I use for myself that makes me about 25 years younger than I am right now. But I used it quite frequently on these sites that just ask for your date of birth that I don't have to give them my real information. So.
Well, you don't have to give them your real information anyway. All you do is make up a name.
Well, you kind of do when you're doing bank stuff and things
well,
like
that's
that.
True. Yeah. No. When you're buying online, they got you by the short hairs because you got to give them your credit card information.
That's right. And that credit card information has all that if they ever wanted it. But I don't think they're even allowed to look at it, are they?
What's to prevent them from doing it?
Nothing. That's the whole point.
Goodwill.
Yeah,
I promise.
Absolutely.
The little criminal says, I promise I won't share your information with my channel partners for money.
Oh, God. I just laugh because it's so prevalent. And you know what? Most people don't realize it, Tron. They just think you're supposed to do all that. And anybody under 40, they think that's normal. And I just tell them, no.
15 years ago, you couldn't get a girl's phone number. People didn't register their telephone. Now all they have to do is go over on Facebook and they know who they were sleeping with last week. They know what their color of their underwear is.
Well, at this point in time, we're going to have to cut off the whole sleeping around thing, and we'll have to take a break. So everybody stay with us. We'll be right back, and we have Tron here with us tonight, so hang in.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin. Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Hello, IRN listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called DreamNuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DREAMNUAGE.com. Simple, raw, organic.
Hello, I'm Pat Usford, inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com.
EPIC is Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council, the forum for scholars, experts, and those fascinated by and involved in the study of ancient civilizations, conspiracies, cryptozoology, ETs, and UFOs, fringe science, the paranormal, and all manner of extraordinary phenomena. Please join EPIC as we examine the mysteries of the world and beyond on epicvoyagers.com. And for updates on the upcoming interactive video presentations, the latest news and discussion on the EPIC forum, as well as research, investigations, and membership opportunities. Epic Voyages program schedule is on the Inception Radio Network. Thank you for joining us.
Howdy, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's epicvoyagers.com.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. So glad to have you here with us tonight. I've got my good friend Plutronus with us. I call him Tron. He is the Tron man, in my opinion. He's the only one who should be called Tron in the whole world because he's earned it. So there we are, folks. And I'm sorry I'm having technical difficulties tonight. We're still trying to figure out how to get me on air on Skype and why I'm having so many problems. But, hey, it's the beginning of the storm of the century here in Marin County. So who knows? It may just be my Comcast connection. I don't know. And they actually are letting school out tomorrow here in the Bay Area, which is just bizarre because I've never seen anything like it. They're letting people out of school because they're afraid of the high winds and the power lines going down. So I've never seen anything like this in my life, folks. You know, I come from Portland, Oregon, where it rains a lot and we flood all the time and no one ever gets out of school because of it. But, hey, you learn something new every day and something strange happens, I guess. So this will be it. I guess we're supposed to have 60-mile-an-hour winds all blowing all night and all day, and, you know, it's supposed to be the storm of the century. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I may be without power for a while, but it'll be fun. I like reading by candlelight, so it shouldn't be a problem for me. So anyhow, Tron, are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. I actually had to run into the there was a little emergency in the kitchen.
Oh,
my girlfriend did not remember
okay?
how to use the toaster.
Oh, that's okay. I just want to make sure she's all right and everything's good.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, she has multiple sclerosis. It's a really nasty disease. And one of the things that happens with MS is that it affects the memory. And infrequently, it doesn't happen all the time, but once in a while she gets things confused. You know, like the temperature setting knob on the toaster broke off, and she got that confused with the thing that you push down. So I had to go in there and say,
well, you did it, and that's what counts, and now she's going to have her toast. So there you are.
You know.
Yeah.
But all the girls in my family are not mechanical. There's nothing mechanical going on in their thinking. And so this isn't just MS at work here. This is a mechanical thing, and this is not properly designed. You know.
I can see it now. They're all running to you for mechanical help, of course.
Oh, God.
So there you are.
Yeah,
well, you know what we need to talk about tonight? We just can't sit here and reminisce like you and I do on the phone all the time.
Yes,
we have to talk about UFOs and aliens and what's going on in life with MUFON and, you know, just kind of fun stuff. So have you been to any of the MUFON meetings down in the greater Los Angeles area?
I've been going to the UPARS group, which is a splinter. It was the main MUFON LA group. And because MUFON does not allow the discussions of paranormal subjects, because they consider it to be a soft subject, a non-scientific subject, they basically branched off.
They did. Steve Murillo runs that group. He used to be a MUFON director down there.
That's right.
And he's doing that, and that's wonderful. And, you know, I mean, if that's where you're heading and that's your direction and your focus and you want to do a lot about ghosts and you know, Bigfoot and things like that, then I think that's wonderful. So.
Well, his speaker this coming session, which is on the 16th, is John Rhodes.
Oh, I love John. John's a kick.
I've never met the man, but I went over to his website to do research and see who the guy is, because he's supposedly a reptilian expert. And he is. I spent a fair amount of time reading his website. He is just about the only person I know that recognizes there's certain things I know about the reptilians because I've had personal contact with them.
Exactly.
That I kind of keep to myself. Because you don't want the babblers to know this information. Otherwise, they're out there babbling it like they're experts. There's lots of people out there selling books and stuff about the reptilians, and they don't really know anything about the subject, you know. John Rhodes, whether he learned it from other people or learned it from firsthand experience, there are certain things he knows or he presents on his website that only reptilian contactees know. Authentic contactees. So I'm really looking forward to going this weekend, and I don't know. I think it's on the 16th, which is a couple of days away. So if anybody's in our area, if anybody's in the Los Angeles area, I recommend that you think about going to see the John Rhodes UPARS lecture, because it is my opinion that this guy knows something that's authentic.
Yeah, you know, John has had a very interesting reputation. A lot of people think he's kind of woo-woo and he's way out there, but I've never really quite felt that way. I felt that he had a lot of information that people needed to know about. It's just hard for a lot of people to swallow the fact that this is really happening and that the reptilians are what they are, you know. I believe they're interdimensional beings. What's your take on them? Do you think they're from here or from there or from both?
Well, I don't believe they're from here. I believe that they're. I believe that they're from somewhere else. My take on it, based on what I understand, and what I was taught by a gray. I asked to be taught, and a gray taught me. Until the reptilians figured out I was actually able to see into their dimension. One of the things that the gray caused me to do and instilled in me to do was to increase my psychic abilities. And I've always been psychic most of my life, and then I was also raised in the Rosicrucian order, so I've been doing the Rosicrucian Amorc studies since a young person, a lad. My mother introduced me at 4 years old, and I did it right up until I was in my mid-30s. And then I got bored with and dropped out and joined another Rosicrucian group, which is, in my opinion, much more functional in terms of the teachings, the psychic teachings.
Okay.
But in addition to that, this gray, one of the first things it did is it turned me into a vegetarian. And when you go totally vegetarian, it changes your chi inside your consciousness, and it increases your psychic perception. And then I started having this driving need to do certain other things, which I won't go into at this point, but there are other things you can do that actually will increase your psychic sight. And I did these things, and I became super conscious for a period of time. In that state of consciousness, the gray started feeding me a series of visions night after night, and these visions involved the human to alien relationship. This is exactly what I wanted to know. Interestingly, the grays never told me anything about what they're doing here. They only told me, I couldn't get them to tell me a thing, nothing about the gray alien agenda. But the gray that was teaching me was a hybrid, told me it was hybridized specifically for the task of interfacing with humans, because there's an interspecial communication gap. They got like 9 hemispheres, we got 2, and because of that, we just don't think alike. I don't know how many hemispheres they got. They may have 3,000. Humans have a hemisphere for each eye, and grays have complex eye structures. So they may very well have 10,000 eyeballs. If they have 10,000 eyeballs, they may have 10,000 hemispheres. Who knows? Right. I have no idea what they've got inside their brains, but anyway. So this gray started teaching me, and what it was teaching me was about the reptilians. It taught me about how they came here, when they came here, the fact that they came here to basically. They colonized our world strictly for resource acquisition, and then they got lazy, and they went out and they integrated their DNA with the most intelligent life form on the planet, which interestingly was not reptilian. Most worlds, because of the way they accrete, they accrete, meaning that the sun spew out star matter, and then there's these globules of gas coalesce, and then eventually they turn into worlds, and the conditions that create the worlds throughout the universe, throughout the galaxy, are always the same conditions, and these conditions always create reptilian life. The most prominent life throughout the galaxy is reptilian. The only reason why mammals exist on this planet is because we were hit by an asteroid, the Chicxulub asteroid, which was 67 million years ago, which wiped out the reptilians and allowed we were on the food chain. We were lower on the food chain. The mammals were lower on the food chain, and we became the dominant life form on the planet. So when they came here, they took our DNA, mixed it with their DNA, and it was failure after failure after failure. And this, by the way, is documented also in the most ancient writing on Earth, which is in the Rig Veda of the Upanishads. And
absolutely,
and it tells the story of creation about Enki and I think it was Ninhursag. Wasn't that his sister? Ninhursag.
So. Yep.
And Enki, her brother, who is a dragon, they're a caste system. He has wings. He walks around on 4s, and sometimes he walks around vertically, but he has the ceremonial warrior wings, like a Draco. But he is actually an intellectual, and a smart. He's noted for his intelligence and not for his killing abilities. The warrior caste is the most coveted. They're the ones with the wings, and they give wings to what they call ceremonial wings to certain highly positioned people in their culture. Anyway, so he figured out how to make humans. And he took across the DNA with, this is what the Gray taught me. And then later I came to find out that it very closely parallels the Rig Veda and Zachariah Sitchin's writings and interpretations of the Rig Veda in the Upanishads, and written in Sanskrit. They don't know where Sanskrit came from. Nobody knows where the language originated. So it may very well be a dragon language, in my opinion.
It could. It makes sense.
Anyways, I mean, well, if this, who documented how all this happened if humans weren't writing yet?
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Where did they get the story? See, there's a problem with language. I took some classes over to UCLA in neurolinguistics, and the problem with language is that the ability to write a language developed as well as our ability to communicate. So it wasn't like people were talking for a really long time first, and then they learned how to write. The language, the ability to write the language, this is a current belief by the academics in the world who are studying how humans actually communicate. And I mean, they know a lot about the subject. This is it's not like a whole bunch of theories, strung together.
Right.
This is backed by human behavioral tests and knowledge and experimenting with cultures that are very primitive. They're still, like islanders. They find a group of islanders and they're very primitive, and they find that the ones that don't write don't communicate. They have very simple vocabularies. The people who the more writing they do, the more language they have, written language, the more vocabulary they have. So it turns out that writing develops simultaneously along with the ability to communicate verbally. They go hand in hand.
I think what's happening here, if I remember correctly from my studies on just the actual what your cortex does by your developmental cortex in your brain, is that when you actually look at writing, it starts out as a graphic in your mind, and then it develops into a thought process.
Visualization.
It causes neurons to fire from a visualization process that causes people to develop more neuron connections, which cause more deep thought eventually. So, the minute you start putting down mathematical equations, even if they're in the shape of words, your mind has to see it that way. It has to process it that way. So,
that is very good. That is exactly correct, Lorien.
Yeah. So what happens is you develop a deeper sense. It's like playing 1D chess as compared to 3D chess, basically. Your mind has to see it in different ways instead of just one 2D way.
That's the problem with magic. That's why most people can't do magic, is because they can't visualize. Most humans don't know how to actually visualize. Even though it's intrinsic in our nature, because we're visually sighted beings. Yeah. Anyway, so Nin Herzog, time and time again, tried to create these humans, or they're basically their workers, slaves. Yeah. And Enki came along, and he did something, and out popped a human. And in the old.
I hope it was faster than 9 months when they out-popped that first one. I'll tell you what.
Well, I was shown the actual process.
Oh, it's like a cloning process, right?
He took a red-faced baboon. I was shown a red-faced baboon.
Wow.
He took a red-faced baboon, which, by the way, DNA-wise, they're related to us, and he took something. It looked like a centrifuge. I was in this big room. I was looking through. It was a vision presented to me, in my opinion, by the Gray. I was in a super heightened psychic state, and I saw what looked like a big. It looked like a laboratory, and there was a dragon walking around on fours, very short tail. Didn't have a long tail at all. But he had wings that were folded up on his back. It looked like they looked like bat wings, and then he would stand vertical like a biped, and he walked over to this machine, 3 fingers and a thumb, and he picked up what looked like a test tube. It looked just like a test tube, and he looked at this, and he did something to it, and he took and withdrew some chemical out of it, and he stuck it into this centrifuge-like machine, and then he went over to the red-faced baboon, which was none too happy about this, and he took something that looked just like a syringe, and he drew out some blood out of that baboon. And I was told, so I don't know if it's not really told, it was more like a knowingness. In psychic states, you're not really told things. It's not like you hear it in words. It's just all of a sudden you know something. It's a knowingness. And the knowingness I heard was that 12% of the ribonucleic acid was removed from the baboon's blood and put into this machine, and it was mixed with this using some kind of process. It mixed the dragon DNA with the reptilian DNA with this test tube from the baboon. And then he took and he put the 12% RNA back into the baboon, and within 32 days, the cells, this happens in humans all the time. Every 32 days, every cell in our bodies are completely, we urinate them away. It comes out as fecal matter and as urine. Every cell in our bodies completely change. We have a complete change out. And our DNA is what replicates our cells, so that when we urinate ourselves away, there's a clone of us sitting there, because we're basically clones of ourselves through our DNA.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's true.
Well, the same thing happened to the baboon, only it reverted to a biped. Every cell in its body was changed until it became a biped, and the biped had bright red skin. It was covered in a real fine little, like it looked a lot like the bottom of, if you ever pick up a garden snake, they have a kind of a real shiny, kind of like a scaly skin on the bottom, but they're not in squares like you see on an alligator. But it was real shiny, and the skin it looked a lot like a snake skin on the bottom. And I didn't see the back of the animal, but I saw the front of the animal. He was naked. He was standing there, and he had 3 fingers and a thumb. The 2 middle fingers were real thick and wide. And if you look at the really old pictures in the Peshitta, which is a Jewish document from the Kabbalah, it shows pictures of Abraham. It was a drawing of Abraham, an ancient drawing, and he has really thick fingers, 2 fingers in the middle. The ring finger and the second finger look like they're one big finger, and it's like they have the bones in there, but the flesh is around both of them. And so you have the little finger, the 2 fingers in the middle that are merged together, the first finger and the thumb. And that's what and if you look at the ancient tarot decks, all of the hands are drawn that way, except for the Tav key, key 21. Key 21 shows a human standing there with the 5 fingers exposed, separated. But all the rest of you look in the first key, you look in key 0, the Fool. The 2 middle fingers are merged together. All the fingers in all the ancient drawings show humans with the 2 middle fingers joined together, especially in the Peshitta and the Tanakh. And so at one time humans had this structure, and at some point our DNA, the mammalian DNA, took over, and we sloughed off the reptilian skin, and this is what they call in the Bible the fall. The reptilians referred to this as the fall, and what happened is we went from being a reptilian mammal DNA modification to being strictly mammalian. When we went strictly mammalian, our 2 middle fingers separated and reverted back, because baboons have 5 fingers, and reptilians have 3 fingers, 3 fingers and the thumb. Absolutely. Anyway, this is what I was shown, in this process. Initially, we were made as mules. We didn't have genitalia. And this, by the way, is also mirrored in the Rig Veda, the writings of the Rig Veda, the Upanishads, in ancient Sanskrit. And
so, did you get shown how we got to the point where we could mate, and there were two different versions of us? They decided
that we were so fragile. We were so fragile, and what basically happened is they got tired of remaking us. they got tired of remaking us, so they gave us the ability to fornicate and solve that problem by itself.
Well, that's a smart move if you want to make sure that we keep coming along, But you know what I don't get about this whole thing is why it takes 10 months and why for 5 to 10 years before a kid is even viable to use for anything. That's a long time. Why didn't they make it so we popped out full grown or something, or that we popped out as a little seed and then in a month we were full grown? Why not?
Well, that's a good point. I wasn't there. Although I have had Inky tell me certain things, and he's still alive.
Oh, now wait a minute here. We're gonna hit a break in a few minutes, but I want to know, you actually spoke with Inky telepathically?
Inky, E-N-K-I. He's literally the creator of the human species. Doesn't mean he's God.
Right.
Okay. Any more than the Japanese are screwing around with DNA with a fish in Japan, that doesn't make them gods. They may be creator of species, but that's the problem, is somewhere down the line somehow the humans got this they got this creation story mixed up with God, and it's not. I mean, we were created by a reptilian species as a slave race, in my opinion. Right. So the original question you asked is, John Rhodes believes that the reptilians evolved here. I don't believe that. I believe that we're unique in the universe. I believe that the mammals, the mammalian human beings, are unique in the galaxy because of the asteroid hitting our planet and wiping them out. But the reptilians, life forms, they're everywhere. The whole galaxy is nothing but reptilians out there, as best as I can tell. And the reason why there's so many different kinds of bipeds running around is because that's the most common form that evolves. You develop legs so you can move around and get better resources. The taller and the higher the animal is, the more access to higher and higher resources, like trees with fruit on them, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But there are some minor variations here and there throughout the universe, but essentially every place that the reptilians have gone and they've mined for resources, they always create these slaves, or these robots, automatons, biological automatons, wherever they go, and they always build if it's a sex-based, a gender-based species, they always put two sphinx there so they can see it from orbit what the life form is. Originally, they had a red-faced baboon sphinx, and they had a female sphinx. The female sphinx.
Okay, now hold on just a second, because we've come up on our next break, and I want to know more about this definitely when we come back. So everybody, hang in there. I'm going to try to get onto Skype again during the break, and we'll see what we can do here. But I'm with Tron tonight, so come right back with us. Not take care, but be right.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin. Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called dreamnuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DREAMNUAGE.com. Simple, raw, organic.
Hello, I'm Pat Usford, inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com.
EPIC is Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council, the forum for scholars, experts, and those fascinated by and involved in the study of ancient civilizations, conspiracies, cryptozoology, ETs, and UFOs, fringe science, the paranormal, and all manner of extraordinary phenomena. Please join EPIC as we examine the mysteries of the world and beyond on epicvoyagers.com. And for updates on the upcoming interactive video presentations, the latest news and discussion on the EPIC forum, as well as research, investigations, and membership opportunities. Epic Voyages program schedule is on the Inception Radio Network. Thank you for joining us.
Howdy, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's epicvoyagers.com.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio Show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm Lorien Fenton. I'm here on Inception Radio Network. And I did say earlier in the show that you guys know that Inception Radio Network is home of my most favorite app in the whole world, and you've got to go check it out. It is really cool. It's got an alien head, it's got a spaceship, it's got lightning, it's got a microphone. It's really cool. And what happens is every day before the show starts, all the shows start in the evening, the live ones, they send you an announcement as who's coming up, and sometimes it even has who the guest is on the show that evening, and it tells you what's happening. So it's really an awesome, awesome app. I highly recommend that you get it and enjoy it. I enjoy mine. I love it. It's great. I get to know who's on my show tonight. That's the best part about it. Oh, my God. Okay, let's see. The other business I need to take care of really quickly is I want everybody to know that I truly, truly would love for all of you out there that listen to my show to go to MUFON.com, that's MUFON.com, and check into becoming a member of MUFON. You know, folks, reality is changing rapidly, and reality for MUFON is changing rapidly. And yes, it's still a nonprofit organization, and yes, it still has its foibles like any other organization out there. But the one nice thing I love about MUFON is everybody that belongs to it is truly looking for life on other planets, our universe, other dimensions here on the planet, and looking for spacecraft and everything else involved. So at least we have a common goal that's very different and intriguing. And the one even better part about the whole MUFON, in what I would call the whole MUFON phenomena, is that we all get together, and we get together in person. And in most states and in most places, we get together once a month. We have the best time on the planet, folks. This is my family. MUFON, once a month, when I'm sitting at that table, like I tell you guys every month, I sit at that table after our meeting, and we're all sitting there, and there's 20, 25, 30 people, and then the diehards go to Denny's until 4 o'clock in the morning. When I'm sitting there talking to everybody, that's my family. Because, you know, when you do this kind of research and you're out here alone by yourself, that's what it ends up being. You're out here by yourself. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm kind of the black sheep in my family, and they all go, "You do what? You have a radio show about what?" And, you know, they just think I'm the little Lulu, but they still love me. But still, you know, my real friends, my real family are definitely my MUFON people. So I hope you find that camaraderie as well. That's what MUFON's all about, is getting you guys together, finding each other, talking to each other, and having a good time, and knowing that you're not alone. So I think that's when they say MUFON has evolved. That's what it's evolved into, is a place for you guys to go and feel comfortable with other people of the same ilk. So there you have it. That's my, you know, once a month, really going into it in detail. But you guys need to see each other eye to eye. You need to communicate, and you need to really start doing this together, because truly that's the only way we're going to change anything on this planet, is to get people to wake up to it, where it becomes real, instead of some kind of thing that's just hidden in you know, a dark room somewhere where there's crazy people sitting in there on their computers talking about aliens and UFOs. No, no, no. We want it out there for everybody to see and know that it's real, and that there are people experiencing it, and it is happening. So I really hope that you guys do join MUFON, get to a meeting near you, and there you go. And just, you know, find friends and have a good time, because that's what we do. And if it wasn't for MUFON, I would never have met Plutronus. Right, Tron?
Right.
Yep. Well,
actually, your point about MUFON being the socialization, some of the nicest people I've met were MUFOnites, as I call them, and also some of the most interesting information I've ever seen and received about ufology, or what I call etiology, has been from MUFON meetings. And absolutely. I completely, when I said that, and you're right, MUFON is changing. They're still kicked the hubcaps in a lot of ways, but they're being forced to understand and recognize that there is a paranormal aspect, whether it's psychic or it's technology assisted. And that's one of the things that I believe is actually taking place. I believe a lot of this is technology assisted psionics, rather than... I
agree with you on that. I absolutely agree with you. And you want to hear something really interesting? Last week I was talking to Ruben Uriarte, who's our Northern California director, and I had him on the phone. We were yakking about something. Oh, it was a Christmas party. And I said, you know, Ruben, more and more, you know my story about what happened on the 1st, right, Tron? I don't know if you've heard it yet or not. We were at the MUFON meeting on the first Saturday of November, which was the day after Halloween, and I had decided, driving up in the car to the meeting, that I was going to quit MUFON. I was going to quit doing UFO stuff. I was going to quit my radio shows. I was going to quit it all, and I was going to go get a job and have a real life again. I made a very conscious decision that that's what I was going to do, and that my last meeting would be in December at the Christmas party, and that my UFO conference in March would be the last one I ever did, and blah, blah, blah. I made a very conscious spiritual decision where you know you've made that decision and there's no change in it, right?
Yep.
So I made that decision driving to the meeting. I didn't tell anybody, of course. Later in the evening at the dinner that we went to, one of my friends, Javier, said to me, Lorien, I just got my night vision goggle. We got to go look at the skies. And I said, no, I'm not in the mood. I don't really feel like it. He goes, oh, come on. You really need to do this. I said, okay. So 7 or 8 of us went back to the building where we hold our MUFON meeting, and we were out in the parking lot. And it was cold, and I wasn't happy being there. And a friend of mine, her husband, and 4 or 5 other people were gathered around the goggle and looking straight up into the sky. And her and I were just kind of looking up over the willow tree in the park there. And suddenly, I swear to God, Tron, a giant triangle UFO decloaked and was there. It had the 3 lights in the corner and the light in the center, and it wobbled a bit and did some stuff, and then it took off, and it was big as day, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, everybody look, look! I'm screaming, and Diane's yelling, and we're both trying to get everybody to look at this thing, but they were all looking straight up through the goggle, and they didn't look out at the horizon. And it was low, and it was huge, and it changed everything for me in that moment. But it was the same thing that happened to me back in 2011 when I started in on this journey of the whole paradigm of that, how they can read your thoughts and know what you're doing, and can kind of herd you into different directions. Well, they did it to me again. They just basically said, well, we're really real. We're here, so you can't quit.
That's one of those stories where, and we wonder, why don't they make overt contact? If they're willing to do these kinds of behaviors with us, see, this has got to be this intercommunicability, where there's some kind of a spatial twist between the way we perceive things and the way they perceive things. And because of that twist, it just doesn't make sense to us. I mean, why do they hide from us, and yet they will expose themselves when you're getting ready to drop out of this theme? If they don't want you to know, why do they do the exhibition?
Absolutely. Why do they even need me here doing what I do in the first place?
It's so perplexing.
It is. And believe me, I spent 4 days after that questioning all of it again, because this is
Robert Bigelow.
Oh, go ahead.
He calls them the tricksters. I've actually heard him say it. I've actually heard him say it right to my face. He says they're tricky little guys. Well, he called them something else, but can't say it on the radio.
Well, you know what? He's got a very good point, because what's that? I mean, and you remember I told you about the reptilian that came to me, not on this level, but
right. They're interdimensional. There's no question. They're interdimensional.
And I felt his presence, and he told me he was a rebel. First, he says, "I love you. I'm a rebel, and you're going to be you're working with us." Basically, is what he said. And I thought to myself, what the hell? You remember I told you I had to pull in the parking lot at the rep stop out of Vegas? And I sat there for 2 hours trying to figure out what the heck just happened. But it was just another thing where, who are these things, and what are they doing, and why are they trying to control certain people on this planet? You know?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you. Did you ever see the Alien Invaders movie with Jack Nicholson? Where he played the president, and they played, and the aliens were running around wearing little.
No, I didn't see it. I wish I had now.
There's a scene in there where they're running around shooting people with their little phasers. The aliens, they run around. They have these little fishbowl helmets on, and they're running around, and they're saying, "Don't run, we love you," and they're shooting you.
Oh man! See,
the suckers that stop running are the ones that get shot. You know, it's called space.
Well, you know what? We might not be far off. Maybe they're just using me. I feel like I'm being totally used. I don't know what's going on.
I tell you what, when the reptilians tell you you love them, you better take off running. That's all I can say.
Well, that really freaked me out. And like I said, it wasn't real. I could feel his arms around me, and I could feel his cheek up against me.
Oh, shit, boy.
He wasn't here. It was tell me about it. I'm just lucky he didn't try to have sex with me while I was driving, huh?
Oh, listen, I had sex with the reptilian, and it was the best damn sex I ever had. But the problem is they do it, and they hit all those genitalia centers in your brain.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's absolutely wonderful, and you call to it. And that's the problem, is when you call to it, you give them permission to come into your space.
Yeah.
And that's a big no-no, man.
That's what I've heard.
You can't, they are literally the vampires of the ancient. When you actually go backwards and look into where the ideas of vampirism originated, it goes right back to the reptilians.
I believe
the little bat-like wings, the Dracula. The word Dracula comes from the word Draco.
Oh my God!
Dracula is that guy with the bat-like wings.
Yep.
Mothman, red glowing eyes. Boy, oh boy, man. Yeah.
I know. See, now like I said, I'm a little freaked out about that whole thing that happened with the spaceship happening, because it was just another incident where I realized they're in my head. They're doing something in there now. Whether I'm helping people or making it worse for them, I sure hope I'm helping.
Well, you're helping by talking about it on the radio.
Well, good. Thank you for that.
Anything that indoctrinates people to the real problems of alien contact, if they're not being outright overtly they're hiding from us. So that means that they're up to no good, guys. That's the problem.
I agree. Carla Turner, when I first started out in this whole business, quote unquote business, I felt that Carla Turner was just right on. And every once in a while, I'll go, well, yeah, but maybe there's other ideas. But you know what? Every time I turn the corner and they do something to me like this, I go, oh, man, Carla Turner was so right.
And they killed her, too.
Yeah, they killed her. You bet they did. So, and a lot of my friends have said, and you're not the only one, be very wary of the reptilians because they aren't there to make your life better. Even though, like Paula Poundstone, who, has had a relationship with one and it's her boyfriend or, whatever. I mean, I think that's interesting, but don't you think that she was being buffaloed during that whole thing? Or
she used to come to my parties. Pamela Stonebrook. She used to come to my party.
Pamela Stonebrook, thank you. I called her Pamela Poundstone, didn't I?
Same difference. She was pounding somebody.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. Well, now, so tell me a bit about her, because I've been trying to reach her, and I can't find her to get her on this show. What do you know
Last time I saw her, she was with John Mack and a special envoy from the Vatican. And we were I was invited to a fundraising for John Mack actually it turned out that the guys who owned the house were friends of my friends of a movie director who was staying as a guest in my home.
Okay.
This was a mansion overlooking Malibu Beach on a cliffside. I mean, a genuine mansion. And that's the last time I saw her. She used to live. I really shouldn't say exactly where, but she used to live in the valley in California,
right?
In the Los Angeles area.
I know too. Yes, I know that.
And she's an actress, so she may actually be working. Generally, when actresses disappears because they're working somewhere, they're on a movie set, and they go incognito for 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
So that's what I think may well be. I'll see if I can track her down for you if you're interested. But
well, I'd love to, because what I'd really like to do is to get her up to UFOCon this year. I'd like her to talk about her experience, just like I'm letting Douglas Dietrich talk about the fact that the UFO over LA probably wasn't a UFO after all. And, whether people want to believe him or not, that's their whole thing. I told them if they're mad at Douglas, every time Douglas comes to my UFO conferences to do a little debunking, on his military level, I tell everybody, bring UFO beanbags and you can throw them at him at the end of his speech, because, he's up there.
They better not throw me, because I'm liable to throw them back.
Oh, my God, that would be so much fun. But anyhow, I think everybody should have an open mind about everything. We can't just sit here and say, everything is what we always think it was. As far as history goes, who knows what, has happened. See, now, I know I saw that UFO, so I know that's real. I can say to myself for the rest of my life, I know that they are real, because now I've seen one, okay? But up until that moment, I had no reference point, Tron, except for three lights in the sky at one point, and I never saw the outline of the ship.
And you said it wobbled, huh?
It did. It wobbled. It was weird. Diane and I were talking about it later. When you say it
wobbled, did it wobble on the horizontal axis, or did it wobble up and down?
It wobbled on the horizontal axis. What it did is it suddenly appeared. It was like it decloaked, and it was there. And then it started doing this weird wobbling thing, and Diane and I were both laughing later. We said it looked like the guy didn't know how to drive it.
Okay, but if you take a plate, if you take a plate and then if you look at the plate sideways, and then you put a pivot right in the middle, was it wobbling around a center point, like the going up and down kind of wobble? Or was it wobbling
like the plate was sitting on a table, and it was wobbling kind of up and down on the table, side to side.
All right, side up and down, huh?
But not up and down like you're going up vertically and
like
down
vertically. Like a seesaw.
Vertically.
It wasn't seesaw. It wasn't seesawing like a children's seesaw where it's pivoted in the middle and one side goes up, the other side goes down. And then,
that's kind of what it was like, but it was so slight. It was like it just kind of did it like it shimmered almost. It was like
okay.
It's doing some
and now let me ask you this question: Did it come to a stop at a tilt?
Not quite a stop. No, it was still wobbling when it got real slow.
Okay. All right. Well, that's consistent with what we believe is happening is that there's something rotating inside the craft, and it's part of its propulsion system. And
gotcha.
The wobble has got something to do with it precessing called the right-hand law of energy. And what it does is if you ever hold a bicycle wheel and grab it by the axle and then spin it, you get a wobble.
Right.
And that's a gyroscopic precession. And that's what flying saucers do. Flying saucers do that, and this is the first time I've ever heard of a triangle doing it. But the perception is that these things are actually electromagnetic rather than anti-gravity.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that.
Okay, and the deal is that our ionosphere has an electric field around it, which is caused by the solar wind from the sun, energizing this. Basically, it's called plasma. It's liquid electricity, essentially, flowing from the sun, hits our atmosphere, and it ionizes it. And because of that ionization, flying saucers actually use that ionization as part of their propulsion. It turns out all worlds who have a sun, okay, planets without suns are pretty worthless. But nothing grows on. That's called an asteroid, right?
Exactly.
But all solar systems have suns, and all solar systems, every planet that's inhabited has an ionosphere, essentially.
Okay.
And so what happens is these craft have some kind of a power source that's so powerful that they generate a huge magnetic field. And that, by the way, is how my UFO detector works, is it looks for the variations in the Earth field caused by the flying saucer generating this huge field. And this huge field is so powerful that it is actually able to use the magnetic field of the Earth to fly around using that magnetic field. Everybody thinks it's anti-gravity, but it's not. It's actually it's called electrodynamics, which is exactly what Bob Lazar was talking about. Everybody discounts him, but
I think Bob has.
I think he's right on.
Yeah, I agree.
Right up until his wife was found with asphyxiated. She killed herself, and right after she killed herself, his story turned to poop.
Exactly. Well, of course, and it's just like my friend Stan Romanek, who's had all these visitations and has movies with aliens in it and the whole bit that are real. The minute they beat him up, things got very dicey for what he's talking about now too. So they almost
his story went to poop, right? And the same thing happened with Jonathan Reed, which was on the Art Cell years ago.
I love Jonathan Reed.
And he's been completely discounted too, man. But it's every place you go where you find authentic alien contactees, there's a great big stinky cloud around them. And I use that stinky cloud as sort of it's sort of the signature of authenticity, because
absolutely.
The disinformation guys out there, the CIA, the NSA, those guys don't want us to know what's going on, and they probably have a good reason for it, believe it or not.
Well, I have to say you've got a good point, because after that Saturday, 11/1/2014, when I realized those guys were in my head again and knew exactly what I was thinking, when I was thinking it, and how I was thinking it, which is what I talk about when I talk to people, and then they've broken my leg and they've broken my shoulder every time I'm talking about them being in my head and getting there and, messing with me. So, the thing is, I don't even know if our government, maybe they are protecting us. I don't know. It's hard to say.
One of my working theories is that, and you have to understand that our world's military recognizes air power, air supremacy as being the basis of winning wars. We won World War I because of air supremacy, and we won World War II because of air supremacy. When you're able to control the skies over an enemy country, you're able to cut his resources, his logistics, his supply lines. If you can control their skies, you control the outcome of a war. Well, we don't have air supremacy with the aliens. In fact, they have air supremacy over our own world. And because of that, our military is, pardon my expression, they're scared shitless.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is because, first of all, we can't take the war to their world. We don't even know where the hell they live. Now, the military might actually know at this point, but they ain't telling. And there's two things the military's learned. Until you have the ability to take the fight to somebody else, you keep your head down low and you don't do anything to provoke them.
Well, on that note, I just got in the chat room, so we're going to have questions for you, Plutronus, after the break. So everybody stay with us.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin. Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hello, IRN listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called DreamNuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DreamNuage.com. Simple, raw, organic.
have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Are you looking for a cure for boredom? Never worry. IRN's new interactive website introduces a number of ways to pass time while you listen to your favorite show. Choose anything from the IRN chat lounge, the game lounge, video lounge, or the mood lounge. These fun, exciting features let you chat in real time with fellow listeners, view live skywatches, play daily posted online games, or pick a show based on topic. The choices are endless. Use your time wisely, keeping it all on IRN.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Hello, I'm Pat Usford, inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com.
EPIC is Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council, the forum for scholars, experts, and those fascinated by and involved in the study of ancient civilizations, conspiracies, cryptozoology, ETs, and UFOs, fringe science, the paranormal, and all manner of extraordinary phenomena. Please join EPIC as we examine the mysteries of the world and beyond on epicvoyagers.com. And for updates on the upcoming interactive video presentations, the latest news and discussion on the EPIC forum, as well as research, investigations, and membership opportunities. Epic Voyages program schedule is on the Inception Radio Network. Thank you for joining us.
Howdy, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's epicvoyagers.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio show here on Inception Radio Network. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. So glad you're with us all here tonight with Plutronus. I just missed him. I was so upset when he couldn't be with us because of his stomach lining. Having a little bit of a nightmare on us there. So, but he's all well and good and stitched back up. And oh my God, there's snow falling on the Inception Radio Network site. You guys got to check this out. I'm in the chat and I just got in here and there's snow falling. I love it. I love a holiday snowfall on websites. I think it's so cool. Anyhow, so check out Inception Radio Network when you guys got a chance. Get the free app. I love Inception Radio Network. They have been so wonderful to me, and I want to thank them. It's been now a couple of years that I've been on the network, I think, and I think my anniversary time is around October, November, so I just want to thank them for keeping me here and taking such good care of me, and they are just the most wonderful people to work with, and I hope everybody out there realizes how special Inception Radio Network is. So I just thought I'd throw that in this week while I could. Okay, Tron, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, hey, we've been talking about all kinds of really fun stuff tonight, and I want to thank Les Velez of MUFON. He was the assistant director in Northern California for introducing me to you in 2011. And that was one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. I've learned more from you. Yeah, no, I've learned more from you in the 3 or 4 years that we've known each other now, and, you just absolutely delighted my life, and we've had some amazing phone conversations.
She must want something.
What?
Must want something there.
Yeah, those aliens must want something, or maybe they just want us together so they can listen to what we talk about. See, that's what I'm beginning to think. Seriously. And I'll never forget the night, within that first year we were talking together into the wee hours of the morning for hours and hours.
That's
I fell asleep one night and I was snoring away and he hung up on me. Called him back and he goes, I must bore you because you fell asleep. And I'm like, yeah, I did.
I put another one to sleep.
Oh, God, that was funny. And then let's see, there was another time, when I stayed at your house on my way in 2012, on my way to International UFO Congress, I saw a fence grid in your house. Remember that?
Yes, you
did. I was sleeping in your room.
Fence.
And I woke up and I said, wow, that was wild, because my eyes were open, I was half asleep, and I saw the scanning of a fence grid through the whole room. It was just the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I don't even know how to describe it to people, but you knew what I was talking about when I told you about it.
Yeah, it's called the Paracite grid. If you read about it in Ashiana Dean's Voyager 1 book was better than Voyager 2 in my opinion, but
I agree with you on that.
The Voyager 1 book has a picture of the Paracite fence, and that's what you described was verbatim to what I used to see that in that room also.
Oh, good. So I wasn't the only one. Thank God.
No. Problem is it's still there. That's the problem. Is it's still there?
But is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
I can't say. All I know is it's an interdimensional force field of a sort that's put up by aliens for controlling humans in some capacity.
Oh my God!
I'm not the only one. I had some Brazilian scientists who are working with the Brazilian Air Force, and I actually cut my ties with them because I had just gotten a secret clearance working with with California Microwave. I was doing a secret contract, and during my briefing, my DISCO briefing, Defense Industrial Security Agency, they had told us that if we made contact with Frenchmen, Russians, Chinese, or Brazilians, we were to report it to the security officer, and I was just in the process of, and these guys contacted me through my CITFI website, and they were working with the Brazilian Air Force, and they had tracked the Paracite fence to this location someplace in the United States, and they couldn't get access to it, and they wanted me to take a run down there and look at it for them, so I stopped having contact with them because I just had a security briefing about having any contact with Brazilians. And I'm sorry I did that now, because in retrospect, years later, I come to find out that this Paracite fence, according to Anna Hayes or Ashiana Dean, same person, that it's a sort of a psionic barrier that they put up that somehow or another controls or limits or restricts our psychic awareness in certain areas. And I know that at one time I had one of these in my my house here, and I thought I'd gotten rid of it. And then Lorien comes along, and she wakes up and she's describing it verbatim. And the only people that know about these are people who read the Voyager book, and most of them have not seen it, so they don't really, to them it's just a graphic in a book, But here's Lorien describing it out of her mouth, out of her mind. Okay, so I know that she saw it.
Oh, you bet I did. And I hadn't even read that book at that time either, so I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, well, that's
crazy.
a bummer, but that is.
Well, at least I knew it was there, so that's a good sign, I guess.
Well, it means that you're psychic, too. Everybody is, but you're more psychic than most because you're able to see it.
Yeah, well, I kind of wish I hadn't now, but hey, there you go.
Hey,
so
you know what's wrong with being psychic is we want the lottery numbers.
I know. Tell me about it. I was sitting here the other day thinking, Jesus, it's totally useless for me. All it does is cause me misery. It never gives me anything I really want. But
right.
Hey,
we want the lottery numbers.
I wish we could get them. It would change a lot of things for us. But hey, things are going to be different for us here going on in the future, which is what I want to talk about right now. The UFO detector. Now, you're going to be talking a bit about that at UFOCon 2015, coming up on March 28th and 29th in Santa Clara, California, the one that was putting on here. And you guys can visit the website, UFOCon2015.com. It isn't quite up to snuff yet because, frankly, I have been so busy lately, I haven't even had a chance to go up there and get everybody's bios up and everything, but I'm working on it this week, folks. I really promise to do so, and they'll be up, and Tron's bio will be up there, and he's going to talk. What are you going to talk about in March? I forgot to ask you.
Well, I got a couple of different things. I could just do a little presentation on what's known about flying saucers, or I had originally, the year that I got sick and couldn't go up there at the last minute, had originally planned to do an instrumentation presentation showing what other people, what SETI scientists are doing. We're talking about hobbyists here, individuals, rather than the institutions. We're talking about people, show the difference between ufologists are really, we're in the backwoods compared to other science groups, to tell you the truth.
Well,
I mean, you look at what SETI guys are doing. They got 24-inch dish, 24-foot dish antennas in their backyards with a garage full of radios and spectrum analyzers, and they're looking for ET out there, genuinely looking, and they're spending time and effort to do it. And ufologists are sitting around, watching documentaries on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
By comparison, we're a bunch of hicks compared to the rest of the scientific.
Yeah, but one of the good things that we've got is hopefully we know a few of those hard-nosed scientists that will actually listen to us when we ask them to look into things for us.
The problem with the hard-nosed scientists is they can't see it.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't even know what we're talking about when
hemispheric
bring it
wiring.
up. Yeah.
I believe that's part of the alien agenda with the abductions is that they have. I believe that the aliens have discovered how to manipulate our neurons. See,
absolutely.
That's something that our science doesn't recognize yet. The only way.
Now, let me say something about that real quickly, and I know a lot of people out there don't agree with me on that, but, I went down the mind control path for a very long time here, and I've kind of come out of it with an understanding that the aliens, the government, the black ops people, the scientists, and all those people do realize that the mind control from the aliens or the interface from the aliens or the AI interface that I believe our government, our black ops people, our deep dark people are creating is all part of the same thing. And, I went down the mind control path thinking it was one thing, and I came out of it now realizing it's all part of the same whole. What do you think about that?
Well, you're talking about the operational. You're talking about the dynamic state of consciousness,
exactly.
And I'm talking about the static state.
Okay.
Okay, what I mean by the static state is that, for instance, you don't remember what your grandmother did because you have no memory of her memories when she passed away went with her neurons.
Absolutely.
And your memories are separated from her neurons. Okay, the DNA does not transfer memories from life term from individual to offspring. Okay, the aliens have learned how to manipulate some of that.
Absolutely.
They can impose learning paths and restrictions in their DNA, and that's part of the it's my opinion. This is an opinion, based on thought experiments, that the aliens abduct us, and some people think it's for DNA harvesting. Well, that's ridiculous. It's for a lot of reasons, and I won't even go into it. But by taking us, they do something to us, and then they put us back. The purpose of which is to propagate something back into the gene pool. That's why they put us back. That's why they put the screen memories in. They don't want us to know that they're taking us, number one, and number two, whatever it is that they're doing to us is some type of tuning. It's a tuning process. They're tuning the human race for some agenda. And that tuning, the only way the tuning can take place is if we're propagating it through our offspring. So they tune us individually, and then for certain kinds of behaviors, and then they have us propagate those adjustments into our offspring. And if they need to take them, they also take them. But it's a tuning process, and that part of that, the tuning process has got something to do with our neurological. We're talking about the static state, where we have these built-in restrictions. One of these areas of restrictions, which I'm fairly certain, and it's fairly well known within the mystic communities, the secret brotherhood communities, of which I'm a member, is that you can achieve certain psychic states, but you can't maintain it. And if in a couple of 2 or 3 days, it goes away. Why does it go away? We can do everything else. We can learn any other process, but anything got to do with mysticism goes away. Well, the reason for it is I have personally seen, as I had it happen to me, and I saw it happen to me. I saw a black triangular spacecraft driven by reptilians driving down rows of houses. And when they have something that's what I call a consciousness detector, they can see someone who's psychically awakening, someone who's able to see in the interdimensional realms. And those people, when they come over, they stop their spacecraft over those houses, and I saw what looked like a solid beam of light. Now, you know, if you turn a laser on and aim it up in the sky, it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
It's traveling 186,000 miles per second. The moment you turn it on, it's 186,000 miles per second. The photons are coming out. But this wasn't like that. Picture turning a laser on, and you can watch the light beam slowly come out like a cone, like a cylinder. And it comes out, and it slowly moves away from the laser end. And it goes way up there, and it's slowly going way up there, like it's a piece of Jell-O. A conical-shaped green beam of Jell-O coming out. That's what I saw. I saw a green beam come out of the bottom of this spacecraft. It slowly descended. I could see the end of the light slowly descending down like it was made of matter, like it was made of solid Jell-O. And it came down and passed right through the top of this guy's house, and it came to rest on the guy's forehead. And after 4 or 5 minutes of that, the glow around the guy's head had disappeared. The beam slowly retracted back up into the top of the spacecraft, and then it came over and did the same thing to me. And the moment it did that to me, I lost psychic sight.
Whoa.
Using my techniques, I was able to turn my psychic back on a couple of days later, and they did it to me again. And I saw the beam come down. So I know the reptilians work to keep us psychically unaware. Why? Because, well, we can see them if we're psychic. If we're really super psychic, we can see where do their craft operate? They operate in the interdimensions. In the Kabbalah, it's known as in the Kabbalah, this state of consciousness or this dimension is called Yetzirah. It's the same word in Sanskrit as astral. It's what we call the astral plane. This is where they operate. Their machines operate there. They reside there. Why? Well, our radars can't see them in that dimension.
Yeah.
Our detectors can't see them in that dimension. One of the things that we can see with them, however, is there's a little gadget you can buy. They're called imaging pyrometers, but they're not really. They don't really image. The word imaging in this case is it has a special amplifier in there that chops the light signal and turns it into an AC signal. And they call that imaging. It's a technique for being able to look at things like temperatures. And you can point this thing, it's like a little pistol, and you can point it, it has a laser on it, show you so that you know where you're pointing it at. And when you pull the trigger, you can read the temperature wherever the laser light is touching the wall. The laser light's only to show you where it's imaging at. Well, ghost hunters use this for looking for cold spots. And wherever there's a cold spot, there's an orb.
Interesting.
An alien orb. Orbs are real. The ghost hunters think that they're disincarnate spirits. I believe that they're alien objects monitoring on humans.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree.
They're an interdimensional object, and the only thing you can use to detect them is by looking for cold spots. It seems that they pull energy out of our dimension, and in the process of manifesting bilaterally, both in our dimension, meaning the ASEA, which is where we are right now. We're in the ASEA dimension, which is the physical dimension. And then yet zero is the next dimension up, which is the non-physical dimension. And when they operate bilaterally in those two dimensions, you can detect their presence using an imaging pyrometer, because you can read a temperature differential. It will drop like sometimes 10 degrees. It'll be like, 70 degrees here and 60 degrees there. And we're talking about an eighth of an inch difference. And if you know anything about how thermoclines work or how temperature work, atmosphere with molecules and stuff, you don't have that. You can't have a cold spot in one place and a hot spot and everything else warm, because what happens is the molecules blend. They blend and everything becomes averaged. It becomes an average temperature. So something is creating an artificial barrier to keep that blending from taking place. And that's why you can detect it, because there's such a difference between the two areas. And that in itself is phenomenon. Now, people go around discounting the fact that photo orbs aren't real and they're just dust motes and stuff. Well, nobody has explained to me how that temperature differential can exist if it's strictly a dust mote floating in the air right in front of the lens. And don't misunderstand me. There are genuine, a lot of pictures, photo orbs are nothing more than dust motes. But you see, aliens mimic everything in our nature. They mimic everything we do. Everything that happens in our world, they mimic. And the reason why they mimic it is because it's very difficult to distinguish between the naturally occurring things and alien behavior. It's a way of hiding. It's a way of hiding from us through the mimicry. Anyway.
So wow. All I can say is wow, wow, wow. But I've got two questions in chat, and they're both dying to get this answer in before we got 5 minutes left in the show. So we got to do this quick. First of all, they want to know about the UFO detector. And second, what was the other thing that they wanted to know about? Let me go here. Okay, let's answer this first. Mark says that he was traveling overseas and an orb followed him in the airplane, and then while he was over there, it was following him around in different places in London, and it was like the basketball-sized orbs.
Really?
And then he came back to the United States, and it didn't follow him back.
Good.
Do you think they were just checking him out on his vacation, or what do you think?
Who knows what the hell it was doing, but what color was it?
I think he told me they were a bright light colored, like whitish with a touch of yellow-orange, if I remember correctly, because I talked to him in person about this, and I just honestly can't remember. I know they were very bright.
Well, I'll tell you what, being fallen around by orbs is, I don't know, it would bother me. I've had a fair amount of contact with orbs, luminous orbs. That's what I call a luminous orb, and it's basketball size. That means that something you're doing is causing them to be interested in you. And
well, yeah. Oh, dear.
If you're doing ET stuff, that means you're getting close to the truth.
Ah, okay. Well, that's good because Mark is getting close to the truth. So there we are. Okay, now we got about 4 minutes left. Now let's talk briefly about the UFO detector. Oh, before we get into that, one of the guys earlier in the chat said that he thought the military was building a UFO detector. Let me see if I can find it. Redshift, he said, I think the military has a working UFO detector and have been using it for some time now in conjunction with technology that can interface with their propulsion systems. That's how they manage to predict where they are going to land or crash and arrive minutes later, no matter where that may be. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. As far as the problem with UFO detectors is that they're local to an area.
Okay.
And the only way you can detect where they're going to be is if you have an array, meaning that you have to have a lot of UFO detectors, and all the data from the UFO detectors, we're talking about, 5,000, 10,000 UFO detectors, scattered, and that'd be actually not very many. If you were to somehow, like what they're doing with cell phones today, I suspect that one of the background processes with cell phones, almost every cell phone manufactured today has a magnetometer in it. Now, why do they need a magnetometer? Why don't they just use a Hall effect sensor to detect when the lid is open, or you turn the cell phone from vertical to horizontal and it shifts the image on the screen so that it knows its orientation. You don't have to use a magnetometer for that, but almost every cell phone manufactured today on planet Earth has a magnetometer in it, and the only people that can have access to all that data is the NSA. Oh. What better way to track alien spacecraft than have 40 billion magnetometers in a huge, massive array everywhere on the planet? And as a flying saucer moves around, it's altering all of the magnetic fields of Earth around those magnetometers and those cell phones. They can track exactly where a flying saucer goes, or stealth aircraft.
Oh, my God. Oh my God! You just blew my poor little brain cells out. Oh my God! Well,
that is very likely, in my opinion, very likely a background agenda, in my opinion.
Oh,
and that is basically the principle of my UFO detector. Basically, my UFO detector, and something I've been working on since 1992. I'm a design engineer, so I'm designing the electronics. I'm designing the computers. We have
less than a minute left, so
all the software.
The best thing to do is that if you guys are really interested in Tron's UFO detector, which he's going to bring, I think, kind of a unworking or working model with him to UFOCon 2015, you guys are going to have to come and meet him in person. You'll actually be able to see his face at that point in time, but up until then and on the internet, he is incognito, and we're going to keep him that way. And so you'll be able to meet Tron. You'll be able to see the UFO detector in its tin can state, and everybody at UFOCon 2015 in Santa Clara, California, on March 28th and 29th. He's going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys can make it. And thanks everybody for listening to California MUFON Radio tonight. I've had a great time. Thank you, Tron. And thank you Mr. Joe. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Joe, for filling in for MJ, and we'll see you guys all next week.